Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello and welcome. You're watching CNBC TV 18 and this is a special show where we are joined in by R.K. Singh, Minister of State with an independent charge of Power, New and Renewable Energy Ministry. Thank you very much for joining us here on CNBC TV 18, sir. This is the fourth year where Narendra Modi-led government is working, and you are working on really high targets of 175 gigawatt of renewable energy targets by 2022, and there are a slew of schemes, Saubhagya, Ujala, Uday, and you have just completed 100% of village electrification. How will you ensure that people pay up, and what are the achievements that you want to highlight?
You know, the fact that we covered 100% of the villages, this was something which was waiting to be done. No government previously had ever thought in these terms that we will reach every village. That's a mode of thinking, or we will reach every household, and giving a timeline for it publicly, and then standing up to it and achieving it. This is an entirely new mode of thinking and action in this country, which was required. So we've done it, the first part. Now the second part, we have to connect 3 crore 60 lakh households, and we pledged to do it by 31st December. Actually, the target is 31st March 2019, but the Prime Minister wants us to do it by 31st December. So it's a huge target. And again, what is great about this is that you have again a government which is now thinking about everybody, inclusiveness. Otherwise, if you leave it to the market, if you leave it just like that, it would never have happened. The poor would never have got electricity connections. You know why? Because getting an electricity connection, if you've lived in a rural area or a suburban area, you will know how difficult it is. You have to apply, then you have to run around, somebody will come and prepare an estimate, you have to deposit 10,000, 12,000 rupees depending on how many poles are required, how much conductor is required. Then you deposit that money, then again you run around, and then you get a connection. And the poor thought that was beyond them. They just could not even dream of getting electric connection. But we are doing it. And we said that we'll pay your cost. You don't have to go anywhere. We will come to you. You don't have to give up money. Whatever costs are required, we will pay. You just have to apply. That's it. I think it is something, one of the most important steps towards inclusive growth.
That's right, but then you have just completed over 65 lakh of connection under Saubhagya. How will you reach the target of 3.15?
We will. We have reached about 65 lakhs. And what we are seeing as we, reach villages, that ultimately this target, which is the numbers which the states had projected, though the actual numbers are much less than what they had projected. And that is one. And the second thing is that, by and large, I'm following up with the chief ministers. I talk to the chief ministers, the energy ministers, and every energy minister in the country is confident that he will do it. Every energy minister, and that includes Uttar Pradesh, by and large, which has 1 crore and 29 lakh, houses to be connected. And the chief minister and the energy minister is confident that he'll do it.
The burning question right now is the coal shortage. The thermal-based power plants are at 196 gigawatt, and if I understand correctly from sources that Ministry of Power has raised the issue of coal shortage, and PLF is low at 65% overall for PSU state and independent power producers. 50,000 megawatt capacity is hit. What is happening? What have you heard from Coal Ministry? Because Coal Ministry...
We have been in touch. We are in regular touch with the Ministry of Coal and the Ministry of Railways. In fact, every day this planning happens. My officers and the officers of the Ministries of Coal and Railways, they talk every day. And in May, the average number of rakes which have been coming have been 274. Which is up from what it was earlier. Right now, our stocks are about 14.7 million tons. It is touch and go, but you know the demand has increased exponentially. The peak demand in May went up to 171 gigawatts. 1,71,000 megawatts, and this was at a time when wind was low. Now wind is picking up, and this was at a time, when hydro was also low. So the entire load came on coal. But we are. My officers and the officers of the Coal Ministry and Ministry of Railways, they are trying to make sure that the coal reaches all those plants where the coal is required. But as I said, the demand has increased. Today, our demand, I think, is about 8,000 megawatts more than the corresponding period last year. This just shows, the growth has been about 6.1, 6.2%, which is a fairly good growth.
Is there any assurance given by the Rail Minister or the Coal Ministry to increase production or increase rates?
Yes. I in fact spoke to the CMDs of the different coal companies, the SECL, CCL, etc. And by and large, all of them have assured me that they'll try and dispatch rakes as per the target. So we are in touch. This is an ongoing thing.
You've been very vocal on the RBI circular which came in February this year. You said that it was impractical and not workable. You also hinted that one-day delay in payment will lead to large number of assets to become non-performing assets. You pitched a year's time for resolution for such NPA assets in the power sector. Where does it stand right now? How much is the capacity in the power sector under NPA right now?
Insofar as the capacity which is stressed is concerned and how to deal with it, we have had certain rounds of discussion, and we believe that we have a scheme. The State Bank of India has come out with a scheme called Samadhan for taking care of these assets. The REC has come out with a scheme. So we have had discussions on that. After those discussions, the REC have refined that scheme and they have sent it to us. So we will have a look at it and then we'll send it across to the Ministry of Finance. I have mentioned it to the Finance Minister. Now what this will do is that this will ensure that the stressed assets are turned around in a more benign way, and the stress assets will not be sold at value which is much less than what they should be getting. So let us see. We are working on it.
So are you talking about the joint venture that you had spoken about in the past, that REC?
It's not really it's not really a joint venture. It is a scheme whereby assets which are functioning, which can be made functional, they are made to function, and once they start operating and selling power, etc., and the debt servicing starts, then after that we are certain that they can be brought on scheme. We are working on it. Once it is finalized, we'll let you know.
So how much is the capacity that is being considered, and what is the timeline you're working on?
As I said, we already have the detailed proposal before us after one round, in fact 2 rounds of discussions with the concerned people, and that final proposal is now with us. Then we'll send it to the Ministry of Finance. Once they are okay with it, then again we'll put it into operation, and you'll see something happening, I think, in about a month's time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So both these proposals will be taken up for consideration, or one of the two will be taken up?
As far as the Samadhan is concerned, we have had a look at it. That is the State Bank's proposal. We've had a look at it. And we believe that it's a good proposal. We have some suggestions on it, which also we will be mentioning to the Ministry of Finance. And of course, there is our proposal.
Could you give us some highlights of that proposal and what are the...
Let it get finalized.
Okay.
Yeah.
AT&C losses have come down. Overall, India, it is at 19.48%. ACS ARR gap has reduced to 23 paise. But still, some of the states like Bihar, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh are seeing AT&C losses above 30%, and even UP is around 27%. How do you see that?
They're all working at it. They are all, and we are working with them. They are all working at it. I won't say that any state is not serious about it. Every state is serious. And I have been in touch with the energy ministers and the chief ministers. I have written to them. I keep talking to them as to how to go about it, how to do it. And we are assisting them every step of the way. And you know, we've also said that our support is there till so long as we see you taking concrete steps towards reducing your losses. How do you do it? I mean, these are some of the ways in which you can do it. You know, number one, what are the problems which happen? One, of course, is sheer theft. All right. So for that, you have to have an enforcement mechanism, open new police stations, prosecute people who are stealing that shit. The other is technology, and that technology is something which is you know, even better. That is that you identify areas where there is a large quantum of theft. You know, put aerial bunch cables there. It's difficult to hook. Put prepaid meters, right? And you know, if there are areas where the theft still does not come down, then after that you give it out to a franchisee. So there are steps, and gradually we've asked the states to continue taking these steps. We are helping them. We are giving them the money to buy aerial bunch cables. We are giving them the money to buy meters and working with them.
But
and all the states, let me tell you, are serious about this. So this will happen. This will come down. There are a couple of other disincentives again which we have set up. We've said, incidentally, the revised tariff policy has been put on our website. You can have a look at it.
That's right.
If you have seen it, you will find that whatever I've been talking about has been put there.
That's
So
right.
we have said that, you know, if you have any losses above 15%, you can't pass
You
it off.
can't be passed on.
You can't pass it on in tariff. We've said that basically another thing which we are doing is we are going prepaid. Now electricity will be prepaid in 3 years. That's what I have written to the Home Minister,
Okay.
to the Chief Ministers of the states.
Are DISCOMs making any changes in terms of financially or operationally? Because in FY18, any losses that DISCOMs incur will be put on the state fiscal.
Yes, that
Are DISCOMs
they are that's the impression I get, that they are very serious about it, and they are all going in for smart meters, prepaid meters towards those steps which have gone ahead with smart and prepaid meters. Their losses have come down. They're all going in for, you know, aerial bunch cables in areas where where the losses are high. Again, the losses have come down. So it's happening. In 4 years, we added about 1 lakh megawatts of generation capacity. We added an average of 24,000 megawatts every year in the past 48 months, 4 years. In the 48 years before that, the average capacity addition per year was 5,000 megawatts. So we've added capacity at 4.5 times. Transmission capacity, if you take total transmission capacity, then the average capacity addition in 48 years before us was about 1.8 lakh circuit kilometers. In the 4 years, we've added transmission capacity at the rate of about 4,35,000 circuit kilometers. Again, 4 times, 3 times, 4 times. Take renewables. When our government came to power, the total capacity was 34,000 megawatts. Today, the total capacity in 4 years, we've more than doubled it. It's 70,000 megawatts.
69,000 megawatts.
69,900 and something.
Yeah.
So it's 70,000. But I mean, if you look at it now, it's 70,000. If, you know, apart from that, if you add the capacity which is under installation, that is 12,500 megawatts. Capacity which we already bid out, another 25,500 megawatts. You add it all up, it comes to 108,000 megawatts. 1,08,000 megawatts. And you know, the solar capacity, we've gone up to about 22 gigawatts. And 9 times, 10 times, we've multiplied into 4 years. So in renewables, we are setting up a green corridor. That progress is also well.
What is the progress on that? Because setting up so many power, solar and wind power
So the green corridor project is going well. We are setting up REMCs, renewable energy management centers also. And by and large, we have managed the integration of renewable energy with our grid pretty well.
Okay.
We managed it pretty well because of our control systems, POXO and all that. And with the renewable energy management centers coming up, it will be able to take care of whatever addition we have got. Now we have also are planning to sanction the Green Corridor phase 3.
Okay. By when and what will be the timeline?
So
for
now
that?
again people are working on it, which are the gaps which need to be filled up. As soon as they come up with it, we will sanction it. For intra-state projects, we have already sanctioned about 10,000 crores. 10,700 crores.
Okay.
And apart from this, we are giving huge amount of money to the states for strengthening the distribution systems. Under the Deen Dayal Gram Jyoti Yojana, I mean, if you add the carryover from RE, we are giving about 75. We have approved schemes worth 75,000 crores. 75,000 crores. Under the IPDS, again, if you add the RAP, DRP, we've approved schemes worth about 64,000 crores. So, and we are giving money for substations, 33 kV lines, LT lines, then transformers, meters, everything for strengthening their distribution systems. And we are saying, and we are also putting into the Act provisions, the amendments which are on my table. And in the, we've also put it in the tariff policy which we have put out.
So let
in
me
the
ask you a
environment.
question
That
here. So
if you do, let me just
what
finish.
are the reforms can people expect
Yes.
in the
So
next
if
1 year
first is,
before the general election
Yeah. So
from
the
the
first-
power and renewable energy
so the
side?
first thing is, we are saying that you do not have a right to do gratuitous load shedding.
Okay.
You don't have a right and you don't have a reason. You don't have a reason because we have already put in place sufficient generation capacity and transmission capacity. We can generate whatever is required and transmit it well. So you don't have a reason to do load shedding gratuitous. Therefore, if you do load shedding, what we have put in this draft policy, tariff policy which I have put out, and the draft amendment to the law which I am putting out, you do gratuitous load shedding, you will have to pay a penalty. So that is something which I am putting in. Then cross subsidy. You cannot, pass on. The cross subsidy will not be more than 20%.
More than 20%.
So this is something which had been said earlier, but in the Act, now we are saying that you do that, you will again, the regulators will just not pass it on. So the prices of electricity will come down. Gone will be the days when some sectors will have to pay 8 rupees, 9 rupees per unit. That will be gone. And again, another thing which we are doing is that different surcharges were put on open access, right, to discourage open access.
Okay.
So the law says that if you are a consumer which consumes more than 1 megawatt, and if you want to get electricity from any generating company, you have a right to do it through open access. You don't have to pay the transmission charges and the wheeling charges, right? Now, what the DISCOMs would add on to that would be surcharge and additional surcharge to such an extent that the price of that power will be equal to the price of power which the DISCOM used to charge. We are saying no. You can't add surcharge and additional surcharge without any rhyme or reason. You are entitled to take the transmission utility is entitled to take the transmission charges. The distribution company is entitled to take the wheeling charges because their system is being used. And you are entitled to take charges for capacity which you have contracted, but which will not be used now because he has gone out of your system. That fixed cost you can charge, but nothing beyond that. So open access will become more viable, so the distribution companies will have more competition. The prices will come down.
But when can we expect privatization of DISCOMs? Because you just spoke about making electricity connection prepaid in 3 years. When can we expect privatization or content in carriages? The word
in the Act again we have, you see the previous Act envisaged separation of supply and distribution. So in this Act we have amplified it as to how it will be done. There is a group which is already working out a scheme because we have to circulate a scheme to the states which they will adopt. So we propose to do it as soon as that scheme is ready. We will circulate to the states.
What is the scheme called, and what is the timeline you would be
The
looking
scheme
at?
is called exactly that: separation of carriage and content. You know, separating supply from distribution.
Okay. Let me ask you one political question. BJP today has won 1 seat out of the 4. And especially in Bihar, your home state, JDU has won the seat there.
There's
do you see-
one seat which went to
RJD,
the polls.
RJD, sorry.
That seat was held by the JDU. The sitting MLA was from the JDU. The RJD has won. You know what is happening is this, and this has been happening for the past few elections. Certainly, all these other parties have realized that, you know, the BJP is got now so much of following, so you know, from the people, that if we all fight separately, we'll all be finished. So all of them, and they're all varieties, you know, they have nothing in common.
But is that a worry, especially in
And
UP
let me
and
finish.
Bihar?
You are not letting me finish. You don't want to hear what I want to say?
Please go ahead.
Please hear what I want to say, because it needs to be said. So you have disparate people. You know, we have nothing in common. There is no question of any policy, common policy. They don't even talk about it. Yeah, they have different caste bases, and then they are just coming together because they realize that unless and until we come together, we'll all be swept off.
Thank you for joining us
It's a
here
pleasure.
on CNBC TV 18.
It's a pleasure.
All the best.